Welcome, everyone. My name is Unmesh, and very excited to have this new series that we are starting today. It's about data and communication. Data and communication into STEM, workforce training, and many other programs all together. And you will see the amazing organization we have called Encorp. We've been working obviously for as a partner for some time, but today we have two very exciting leaders in the space near and dear to me. And I would like to invite by introducing Kathleen, with whom we know her for at least 2 years and more, and Angel, who's leading Encorp as well. So welcome, Kathleen and Angel. How are you doing?
Good.
Great.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to tell our story.
Great, good. So maybe we can start out by each of you giving quick introduction. Also, starting out with the what brings you to Encorp. What's your passion? Why is Encorp in first place? And maybe Angel can also introduce Encorp itself and why you started that in first place.
Yeah, sure. My name is Angel Beamer. I joined Encorps in 2016 as the LA Program and Recruitment Coordinator. I am now the current program director, and I oversee the overall program and activities of Encorps, and I work with Kathy and the leadership team in developing some strategic initiatives and long-term goals. And I also have a amazing team of dedicated program managers in each of our regions that plays a crucial role in supporting our mission. A little bit about Encorps, the Encorps STEM Teachers Program. We are a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to addressing the STEM teacher shortage and promoting equity in STEM education. Inspired by her early work as a public school math teacher, former Paramount Pictures CEO Sherry Lansing collaborated with then Governor Schwarzenegger to launch the Encorps STEM Teachers Program, which happened in 2007. And what we do is we connect highly effective STEM industry professionals with public school students in under-resourced communities by providing them with the opportunity to explore a possible transition into teaching. And when they do that, we provide them, comprehensive training and support to help these STEM professionals become successful STEM teachers, if that's what they want to do. We launched initially in 2007 in the Bay Area, San Francisco. Since then, we've expanded to Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, and Sacramento. And essentially, our goal is to ensure that all students have access to a high quality STEM education. And we are very committed to providing those innovative solutions to the STEM teacher shortage that we're experiencing, and also empowering students to succeed in STEM fields. So that's a bit about Encorps and about myself.
Thanks, Angel.
Yeah.
Angel is our longest term member of the Encorps team, aren't you?
I am. Yep.
Yes.
Crazy.
I joined Encorps in March 2020, the first week of COVID, when we were shut down in California. And I joined through another Encorps organization, which is now Co-Generate, which matches up retired STEM professionals with social impact organizations and assigns them for a year as a part-time employee, or not employee, but contract worker, to provide, their STEM professional experience to the organization. And I had retired as from a 40-year STEM career, and moved from Rhode Island to California to be near my granddaughter, and decided that I wanted to do something. And I applied for a fellowship and was brought into the Encorps organization. And the first thing I did was led the strategic plan process. So creating a new strategic plan for Encorps at that time. I also did a lot of various, other projects for the executive director, the leadership team, and the board. I led implementing some HR projects, and I was a project executive for many years. I had worked with functions in major corporations, so I had experience in many of the infrastructure type functions like finance and HR, et cetera. And so I was brought in initially to lead those. And why I came into Encorps is one thing. I just love the vision and mission. And I had, when I went to college to get my bachelor's in math, I did it because I wanted to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a high school math teacher. Unfortunately, this was back in the 60s and early 70s, and I had a very bad experience in my student teaching. So I never became a teacher. I went right into the corporate world. So I was like coming full circle with my passion of, oh, now I'm working for a social organization that's all about, creating good STEM teachers for students. And so it was just like, and I always was devoted to girls in STEM and being a woman in STEM, like one of the early Fortran and PL1 programmers back. That's how I
That's
started.
me.
Yeah, yeah. So, I was really, really excited to come into Encore, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
Great, Kathleen. That resonates my journey as well. I started with the Fortran as well in CAD camp. Uh,
Yeah,
so 2 years ago we met, and I've known you since then. And one thing that struck me about you, Kathleen, is that unlike many people I see in a nonprofit, they don't see data as a gold mine, but you did see the data as a gold mine. So tell me a little bit more about why you wanted to take Oncorp in a different way, why it was important for you to start the journey, and so talk about that, and also how did you started to steer your learning aspect of it, because it's all about learning from the different stakeholders.
yeah.
So tell us more about that.
Well, when I first came into Encore, I was really impressed. Because I had worked for after I retired, I was in Rhode Island, and I had worked for another nonprofit who had no technical expertise on board. And when I came into Encore, I was like, whoa, these people really, they document, they have plans, they keep meeting notes. They were just more formal, I would say. And Angel is very good at that. It was just more formal than I thought and I would expect. So, and when I started with the strategic plan and that, um, one of the things that Encore had been doing, I think, for years, and correct me if I'm wrong, Angel, but you had always identified. I mean, there was there was a spreadsheet with all the metrics
Mhm.
and the KPIs that were
Mhm.
assigned to recruiting function, to the program function. So they had already started for a while to identify metrics that were important for them to follow for their program, to really track their program and their outputs and their outcomes. It wasn't like the impact management that we're doing now, but it was a really good start of having true um, metrics and key performance metrics. And I don't know, Angel, if you have anything to add to that, but you'd been doing that for quite a while, hadn't you?
Yeah, ever since I got here, we were definitely tracking our
Mhm.
metrics, our key performance indicators. Um, And I feel like, when you came on board, you really put a lot of structure around that and took us sort of to that next level, that next step of then going, okay, what are we trying to do here and where are we going in the next 1 to 3 years, 1 to 5 years? You coming in and asking those questions and guiding us along that path has really been instrumental in our growth for sure.
Yeah. And we had, I remember one of the things, because I was doing the strategic plan, and I had been involved many years in the pharmaceutical that I worked with. I had been involved in the balanced scorecard back in the 80s. And Mesh, I don't know if you remember this, but the balanced scorecard was Nolan and Norton had, were big on that. And we implemented a balanced scorecard. So at that time when I came in and I saw these metrics, then I thought, oh, well, to tell our story, to tell our impact story, and to look at all segments of who are we impacting, mainly our students, our scorecard for our financial goals, our learning goals within the organization, et cetera. We put together a balanced scorecard, and we did that for 2 or 3 years before we started on truly working with you and doing impact management. And that was the first way we could, I think that was the first time when the executive director showed our balanced scorecard to a funder. The funder was really impressed. And then they funded, more work in this area. So that's how we kind of got started in, implementing the, measurement program that we are on right now.
Great. So, Catherine and Angel, so since last 2 years, we've been continuously iterating towards a new approach, and I'm assuming it's a
Mm-hmm.
new day every day. But tell us a little bit more about how your things have changed from just the balance card, which is purely metrics-driven approach, to more of a feedback-driven approach or continuous learning-based approach. What is it that you think that you found it useful, and what is the takeaway that you have for other STEM program owners to learn about
Oh,
your program, which is so important to you that I wish I knew 2 years ago?
yeah. Well, when we were implementing the balanced scorecard, and I don't know how I got started on researching what is this, there was, even when I had before I had finished working for the corporate organization. I'd worked for Avon Products for 20 years, a global company, and there were more and more people identified as chief impact officer. That was the new thing that was coming in the corporate world. And I was always like, well, what is impact? And then I was reading all this stuff after as I was doing the balanced scorecard, I was reading all this stuff about impact management, and I was researching it, and I came upon SOPAC. Okay. And I came upon in Coursera, I took a impact management and measurement course from
By Kathy
Duke.
Clark. Yeah, by Kathy
Yeah.
Clark.
Yes, I took that course because I just wanted to learn more about it. Because what is this impact? And starting with a theory of change or a logic model, and I had never done that. Although I think Encorps had been involved, and Angel, I don't know if you were involved in doing theory of change, initially before I got there.
Actually, no. I didn't
Oh,
start
okay.
diving into that work until you came on board.
Oh, okay. So that's how it kind of all started is, I found, I researched SOPAC. I went on your knowledge, looked at all your knowledge base. I looked at the actionable impact management methodology, because I'm all about, like, I was PMP, executive PMP. So I was, always following some methodology. And so I found your impact, actionable impact methodology that started with, okay, identify the theory of change or your logic model, and I had never done that, although I had seen other organizations that were partners of ours that had done it. So we started, doing then the theory of change. And we started with, we have two programs, and we need to describe those two programs, but I started with the STEMX tutor program that we were just implementing in 2020. We had just implemented it in 2020 due to COVID. So we started all our impact work on the tutor program because I was a tutor. I was a volunteer tutor in our tutor program also. I finally get to teach math to middle school kids, to tutor them. And so we started with the logic model, and then we started developing the metrics and the data strategy. We just followed your methodology all the way and kept growing it. I think also as you kept growing your offerings to us. And so that's how that all got, that's how we've been advancing. We have we have two programs. One is our STEM teachers program, and one is our STEM X tutors program. And Angel, do you want to talk just a little bit about, so the audience knows about our teacher program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Encorps STEM Teachers Program, we recruit career exploring STEM professionals who are interested in teaching, in exploring teaching in an under-resourced community. And once they're accepted into the program, they are known as an Encorps Fellow. And then they will work with a dedicated program manager that helps to develop an individualized plan to determine if entering the teaching profession is right for them. So it's really a way for our STEM professionals to explore teaching. But whether it's the STEM Teachers Program or the STEM X Tutor Program, as an organization, we truly envision a future where students from under-resourced schools have the opportunity to pursue STEM careers or a STEM degree and really are able to thrive in a very complex world. And so we champion STEM equity by empowering these STEM professionals to inspire and support students in science, technology, engineering, and math, whether it's through our Encorps STEM Teachers Program or the STEM X Tutor Program, because we do believe for either one of those programs, by bringing in these experienced STEM professionals into the classroom, working with students who come, have a background of 17 years plus in industry, and they bring that into their work with students in under-resourced schools and communities. It really does help students understand the relevance of STEM in their lives. Our STEM fellows, our STEM X tutors know how to make the STEM content they're teaching meaningful and help students make those connections. And so our program really does foster a sense of belonging, and it encourages students to explore a STEM career pathway or a STEM degree that they might not have ever considered otherwise. So that's a little bit about the teachers program.
Yeah.
You want to talk about STEMX? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about the tutors program because this is my 5th year I've been tutoring, but this was started during COVID when all the students were at home doing virtual work. It was a very difficult time. And, Angel was the one who really led the development of this program. And what the program, the purpose of the program is to increase middle school math students' proficiency in math and increase their confidence in math. Those are our two most important metrics that we look at is the increase in math proficiency and the increase in middle school confidence. And we offer online tutoring by STEM professionals, and the STEM professional is virtual, and the students are either virtual. They're virtual also, but mainly in groups, and they take the tutoring class in their school setting. Most of them do. So a STEM professional, we have STEM professionals in all over the country that, virtually tutor 1 to 3 middle school math students. And I think what's really unique and what I really like about this program is we are aligned with the student school. So the tutor, it understands and knows what the curriculum is that the school is using and where they are, and we know the schedule, like, this month we're going to focus these weeks on this concept, 2 weeks on here. And so the tutor can prepare for that, and the tutor can align their tutoring with the student, with what the student's seeing in the school.
And they're working with the same student and students for the school year. So it's not a drop-in program where they are just randomly working with students who are dropping in. Kathy has been with her students. They were in middle school. They're now in high school.
Yep, a junior, a sophomore, and junior. And I have to tell you that the student that I started working with initially, her name is Jennifer. She was so quiet. She was not confident, very soft-spoken. Every time she answered, provided an answer, she would upspeak it. She just had no confidence. And now she is a sophomore, and she is taking algebra, algebra 2 and geometry. She's taking 2 math classes because next year she's going to take calculus, and she wants to go on to university. And I am so proud of her. And I tell you I'm sorry, I get choked up about this, but as a STEM professional, retired, and you want to, use what you've learned over the years, and you want to feel like you're adding value, this is like the best program. You're volunteering your time, and you're seeing the difference that your volunteer time is having on these students.
Wow, this is amazing. This Jennifer's story needs to be on your front and center of your work altogether, and you should definitely talk about that all the time.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's like I've learned so much too from it, because I have learned about her culture, which is completely different than mine. So I've learned a lot about the Latin culture and from her mother, and yeah, it's been good.
Great. So one of the any principle, and I had the course this morning, which is for any training program like yours, the reaction comes first, a reaction, and then learning or knowledge essentially. And what you really did is that confidence is very important, as well as the increasing the knowledge in the STEM skills. Tell us a little bit more about confidence. Why is it important to measure the confidence, and how do you do that?
Confidence is a measurement, also that's aligned to, I would say, within the past year or two, we've been focused on belonging as a measurement too. we Encorps is a member of Beyond 100K, which is a STEM program that is focused on, increasing the number of diverse STEM teachers. And one of their key measurements is on teacher belonging and student belonging. And, if a student has a teacher who feels like they belong as a STEM teacher, they belong in that field, that student is going to have increased belonging in the STEM, field also.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of changing, or not changing, but I'm adding on that belonging. Student belonging is a key measurement for us moving forward, and teacher belonging. And how we measure that is we measure that through surveys. So we do a lot of surveying of, like in the tutor program, we survey the students, and we have a beginning of the year survey. I don't know if we're doing right now middle year survey,
So,
and an end of year survey. And we also survey the parents, the families. We survey the school teacher, the math teachers, the school site coordinator, which coordinates the tutoring program. And we also survey the tutors. So we have like 4 different, constituents that we survey, and then we compare, like, are they telling us the same thing or not? Um, and then we also collect data on scores, to look at their whatever quantitative data we can collect, like the diagnostic test scores. We collect that. We look at that. We measure hours tutored. So we do a lot of quantitative and qualitative surveying, and put all of these together. And we've worked closely with your team, Mesh, this past year specifically, to really focus more on analyzing qualitative data, because we didn't ask open-ended questions a lot, because those are harder to analyze and make sense of. But now with using an AI type tool to analyze that data, it gives us, we can mesh our quantitative and qualitative data together. We get better data, unbiased responses that way, using open-ended questions. And then we also have better stories to tell that we get out of the people who respond. It's better stories to tell. So combining statistics and numbers and that with the stories is what we're trying to do more of.
yeah, I feel
Right.
like the confidence piece, if my thought was, if, listen, in 2023, and there's only 35% of students in California who are proficient in math. And it's really bad for students at under-resourced schools. And so my thought is, what is going to happen with these students who are so lost in middle school when they go to high school? It was troubling to me. And so, you take Kathleen's student, Jennifer, who did not have the math confidence in middle school, but there were so many opportunity gaps for her to work with her, get her up to speed, catch her up in the concepts and skill set she was missing, so that now that she's in high school, she has the confidence. She feels like she can be a math person. For the teacher program, it's always been challenging to see what our impact is once our fellows do become teachers, because we don't have access to their students. And so, it has helped to what we've learned from you all is to ask those open-ended questions and to see what we're getting back, which we did recently. And so what we discovered, which was amazing to hear from our fellows who have now become teachers, and they, are understanding that Encorps is trying to look at the long-term impact that our teachers are having on our students, but we don't know those students. We're just relying on our teachers. And so in surveying our teachers, we asked that question, like, what is the impact that you feel that you've had or that you've observed on your student? And what many teachers reported back to us were examples of after the student had already left, had gone on to graduate or matriculated from middle school to high school, they reported back that they would get emails from their former students or messages, via social media, who had already graduated from their class and who have told them, I'm now pursuing a STEM field or a STEM degree because of you. I want to thank you because I would not have known about a STEM career that, like what I want to do, was even available to me. And they also are coming back to the classroom to talk to their current students. And so what teachers are telling us is that they're not seeing the impact like right away. But what's happening is they're finding out that they planted the seed, and that has been a huge impact. So we're just now getting that data and getting these stories from our teachers.
Excellent. I mean, quite frankly, you know, I've been in space for long enough to tell you that a lot of people get carried away about the long-term impact, but they don't realize the things proof are in your front of you, which is really, I can tell you from my personal experience of my two kids now, they're 21, 31, and both of the challenges started into middle school as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they knew about the Encorp at the time, because if they lose the interest in a STEM at that time, everything else doesn't matter. So there's no need to track long-term part of it if you don't have a confidence in a STEM in first place. And if you don't have it, it just, if you have it, it just evolves by itself altogether. So you don't need to be looking for long-term thing. So I think people should be looking more as a feedback and signals from the students and how their perception of that thing is and their soft skills aspect of it, rather than trying to think too much about from academic perspective altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
just simple feedback from the young professional, young people, might be what is can be really changing the game altogether. This is fantastic. So to ending this thing, I would like to invite you to um, tell your uh, pitch, as succinct as possible. Why should our funders should fund you for $2 million of grant? Why is it that? Why is it? What is it that you're doing, which is nobody else is doing, and why this is such an important thing? Maybe you can think it over, but and give think about it, but come up with a nice pitch that you think is very important for this humanity that you are working with it all together.
For what I would say to a funder is that we need more diversity in the STEM field, and we are not going to get that if we keep going the route that we're going. And so for us, and the solution that we're offering by bringing a diverse population of STEM industry professionals who have been, um, working in engineering for years and years and years, and now they're teaching engineering to students. Listen, I've been in classrooms of our STEM teachers, and it's project based, it's relevant, they attach meaning to what they're teaching students, and they're some of the best teachers that I've ever seen because they come from industry and they know how it's relevant in students' lives, and it does turn on the light for those students. I'm a credential teacher in California, and those teachers teach circle around me because I didn't come from industry. I was unable to make those connections. And so what we're seeing and what we're hoping to continue to see more of is that our STEM professionals who are now teaching STEM are inspiring students to, and it doesn't mean go into a 4-year college. There's apprenticeships, there's within STEM. It doesn't mean that everyone, we understand that. For me, that's what it's about. It's making sure that our STEM industry professions are diverse, and that we are really inspiring young people to understand that they belong in a STEM career if that's what they want to do. There's room for them, for sure.
And I just truly believe that there are so many students out there. I mean, all students deserve a good teacher. I mean, that should be mandatory in all our schools. Education is so important. I feel like, some of our problems we have now is because we're not as educated as maybe we can be. And I mean, not just educated in STEM, but also diversity, and when I went through, when I was a Fortran programmer, when I got my master's in computer science in the late 70s, I think, there might have been one other female in the class. So I recall what it was like to be different than, the rest of the class. And now that's changed somewhat, and I just think all students should have the same, should have access to the same type of education. And I truly believe, like Angel, that, having a background and working in the STEM profession for, multiple years and then having the opportunity to go into education, I can't think of anything, more rewarding than that, to take your talent and what you've learned and to then, start working with the children. I really think, we got to do more of that.
Excellent. Any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No,
I
I
just
can
want
just.
I
Oh,
just
go
want to
ahead,
thank you
Angel.
before. Yeah, I just want to thank you for giving. We will always jump at the opportunity to talk about Encore and then the work that we're doing. We feel like it's very important work. So I just want to thank you for having us on and allowing us to talk about both better programs.
Yeah, and I want to thank you too. Yeah, I also want to say that we totally have learned a lot working with SOPAC. I really feel like I've got great partners there in Madhu and Lori. I just want to give them some kudos because those are the two that I work with all the time and answer all my questions, etc. So I just want to say thank you so much. I think I have learned so much, being a part of Encore and working with SOPAC, and it's really kept my brain active, so thank you. Appreciate it.
I would like to thank Angel and Catherine for a wonderful partner. I mean, Kathy and Angel, you guys have inspired the SOPAC team because we are always passionate with working organizations who are interested in continuously learning and improving through continued data-driven approach altogether. So I'm so inspired by your work, and I hope that you will also be continuing to inspiring many young people to show the interest in a STEM program. So thank you very much. See you in the next podcast.